Hello and welcome to another Aish online live event. We're really very excited to be saying hello. We're waiting as people come and log in to watch us live this evening. This evening is very exciting for so many reasons. One of which is, for the very first time, we are live streaming both to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So for anyone who'd like to comment, ask questions throughout the whole show this evening, place your comments in the comment box below. Some of your comments will even appear live on screen with us this evening. Another reason why tonight is very exciting is we have a very special guest who we are very fortunate to have joining us this evening. Before we get to that, I have a very exciting announcement. Tonight's show features something we've never done before, but tonight is a very special evening. Tonight we're doing a competition for everyone out there who's watching, and you are fortunate enough that tonight we're offering a cash prize for anyone who is fortunate enough to win the competition. You're wondering, what is the competition? How on earth are we going to arrange this? But basically it works as follows. We are having a question, and you who are out there watching can suggest the answer. And tonight's question, for anyone who is successful at guessing the correct answer to this question, which actually we'll find out shortly, will win the grand cash prize. They'll win £20 in cash to their bank account ASAP. Now, you're wondering, and I'm sure you are, in the community of people who are questioning, what on earth could we ask you? But we are asking you to answer the following question and post it in the comments below. And if you're successful, you will be fortunate to win £20. Now, the question is very topical, very relevant for today. For those who are watching the news, and let's be honest, how many of us are not watching the news today? Everyone's been watching the news, and what's really exciting actually is that today is a big Mazel Tov. There's been a huge Mazel Tov in the country today because, of course, our Prime Minister Boris not only came out of hospital but has in fact given birth. Him and his girlfriend have given birth to a baby boy. So our question, firstly, on behalf of Aish on Campus, Aish UK, we wish Prime Minister Boris Johnson a massive Mazel Tov. But our question for you watching today is as follows. Our question is, what do you think will baby Boris be called? What will baby Boris be called? We want your suggestions in the comment box below. We'll post them up here. You'll see your name and your suggestion. If you guess correctly, obviously once we find out what Boris does indeed call his son, but if you guess correctly, you will be the proud winner of £20. So get your suggestions going in. Now, in addition to that, of course, everyone is welcome to post their questions, their comments throughout as well. And if you want to give a shout out to someone else who's watching, please post your comment as well in the comment section below. And for those who are lucky enough, we're going to put them on the screen live so you can watch that as well. Now, the question is going to be along the bottom as well. If you have friends and family at home who want to put in an entry to our competition, please do that. Feel free to post them in, and we will see them as you send them in. We're looking for funny suggestions as well. Who knows, if it's funny enough, we might even give a bonus prize, but we're looking for the correct answer as well. As soon as Boris does indeed name his son, we are going to be in touch with the person who gets it right. Could be that no one will get it right, but if you've got an idea what you think Boris will call his son, post it in the comments section below, and you stand the chance to win £20. So that's one of the things that's special about this evening's show. Now, another thing that's special about this evening's show is our guest. Now, I was very lucky that for a few years after I moved back to UK, I was fortunate enough to get to know and develop a really good relationship, a very close friendship with a man who I came to love as a tremendous, inspiring educator, someone who's passionate and committed to loving every single Jew. It was a really incredible person to work with and to become his friend. And we're fortunate that he's agreed to join us this evening. Rabbi Adam Ross was the Aish Leeds director for 3 years, and he's gone on a journey from Leeds to Jerusalem, and we're very lucky that he's agreed to come back this evening to greet us again, to schmooze with us again, and share and share with us his wisdom, his journey, and everything that he's picked up along the way. So I would like, without further ado, to be able to welcome to our show the incredible and amazing Adam Ross. Let's see if we can get him on. Rabbi Adam, how are you?
Hello, Rav Gidon. Such a beautiful and very kind, warm words of introduction. I'm blushing over here. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you loud and clear. Before we get going, we have to ask you what your guess is for what baby Boris will be called.
So I was listening to your competition. I was wondering what £20 would work out in shekels.
These days, it's probably approximately 30,000 shekels.
Wow, that's worth thinking about this hard then. I think it's going to be something biblical. I think he's been himself in a close scrape. He was in hospital. I think he's connected with his roots. Wants to bring out some deep values. Perhaps he's been in a lion's den. Maybe he'll go for a Daniel. Maybe he wants to stop the plague. He'll go for a Moses. I don't know what it's going to be, but I think something biblical.
You only allowed one guess. That's cheating.
If I had to, I might go for a Mo. Maybe a Mo. A Mo would be good.
Okay, cool. The question is when we find out how long it will take them to name the baby. But anyway, post your suggestion. If you have another suggestion, anyone watching, as to what baby Boris will be called, post your suggestion in the comments below, and we'll get it up live, and you stand the chance to win £20. Adam, it's so good to see you. It's fantastic. It's been a while. For those watching, Rabbi Adam left the UK and moved to a place I think everyone in the UK would rather be, whether it's for lofty spiritual reasons or simply because they seem to have done a fantastic job and as nominated, according to all the charts, as the best country in the world, at least safest in current circumstances, to Israel. But obviously back then, who would have known? And I'm sure that wasn't the motivation why you and your family made the journey of Aliyah, which is a special thing to ask you about how that journey went on a special day. Maybe Rabbi Adam can tell us about today, and also a little bit how's the past few years been? Where are you up to? What have you been doing? And what have you picked up along the way?
Well, absolutely today, of course, is Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israel Independence Day, and it's actually a lovely day to be speaking to you. It's a very special day. There's a real feeling of unity in Israel at the moment. The Air Force did a flyby over all the hospitals in the country, all the way from Eilat to the north.
Oh, really?
And the central was really, really nice. We kind of saw them in practice. We fulfilled the mitzvah of the day in our garden with a nice barbecue, like every other, I think, garden around us as well. I was remembering actually just today. I served as a soldier in the army a while back now, obviously, and there's always something which I always think about in Yom Ha'atzmaut, which is I was standing in I was returning from my base. I served in a kind of an office job most of the time in Tel Aviv, and I used to go home at the end of the night. And one day I was going home pretty late, and a car pulls up to me at the bus stop, and a woman gets out. And she runs up to the shop next to me, right? Just the next to me. And she runs into the shop, buys an ice cream, shoves it into my hand, gets back in the car and goes. So simply because I guess I was in uniform or something, and she figured she wanted to show support. And then the car stops. She comes back again about 2 minutes later. And she thrust into my hand, I think it was a 100 shekel note. And she said, "It's late. I don't know what you're waiting for, but if you're waiting for a bus, it may not come. Here's a taxi ride home. You should be safe." Didn't know who she was. But that's Israel. And that's I think that's kind of the kind of thing everyone thinks about this day, the sense of unity and gratitude to what we have here, a place that's home. And I think when you ask about, the journey home, look, I grew up in Reading, and Anna grew up in South London. I guess the idea of being able to live a really full Jewish life was something that we always strive for, and Israel is that place. It's that home. it's that home, and that feeling of being home is something that we just longed for, and we're back here. And thank God, it's been a roller coaster of a few years. You know, it's not easy. Finding new work and new house and all these things, but thank God, Israel's the kind of place where you plant a seed in the ground and it grows. You know, and I think people who've spent any kind of time here, be it on a gap year or be it studying in time in yeshiva or whatever it might be, or you work a bit hard here, and Baruch Hashem, you know things happen. I work here now as an English teacher in a yeshiva high school, which is lovely. I didn't want to leave the world of education. All right, I had such a great time at Aish. Such a wonderful team to work for as well, to work with. I was thinking today about all the wonderful friendships that I had in the staff and among the students that we had there. I didn't want to leave the world of education, and so I teach. I also guide now at Yad Vashem, which is interesting.
That's great.
Well, at the moment it's been shut down, so that's kind of
true. But so's everything, you know.
That's everything.
It looks like it's getting better there. It looks like things are starting to open up. And things will get better.
Thank God we've been going in our lockdown in the Holy Land for the best part of 2 months now. But the word on the street is that the kids are going back to school on Sunday, this coming Sunday, at least the young ones. So that's going to be interesting and seeing how that develops. But as you say, Rav Gidon, but Baruch Hashem, we really feel out here that we're being looked after, and there's good decisions being made. Thank God, and we're able, hopefully, to start getting back into the normal swing of things.
Amazing. Now, for those just joining us who haven't seen, we've got our competition going live as well. Anyone who wants to suggest a potential name for baby Boris, please post in the comments section below, and you stand a chance of winning £20. But here we are discussing with Rabbi Adam on Yom Ha'atzmaut 2020 in an absolutely unimaginable situation. But as soon as I thought, I heard Rabbi Adam, you were able to come and share some thoughts, I knew that you were a person I wanted to ask the following question to, because, taking you back a few years to Hyde Park in Leeds, you're probably thinking, gosh, I'm in a different place now in Jerusalem, but Hyde Park in Leeds is quite far away, not just physically and geographically from Jerusalem, but just in terms of the lifestyle and everything that's going on there. But I always looked at you as someone who was able to operate from your little hub over there in Hyde Park and run this incredible operation around the country, despite the fact that you were kind of in isolation, almost so far away from the rest of the community, the rest of the team. So, when I heard you were going to come and share some thoughts, I thought, I've got to ask you this question. We're all stuck in isolation now. How do we maximize this time together? How do we make sure that we're being functional? How do we, what were your top tips? How did you do it back there?
Well, first of all, I guess, when I remember first arriving in Leeds and not knowing anything about the place, and just feeling, first of all, that to think positive and to be positive and not to be scared. You hear all these horror stories of going to new places, moving from Jerusalem in a place where, we look out of our window and we see, we see Jerusalem all around us, and in Hyde Park, you just see mosques everywhere. And I remember the first time I walked out of the house, I was going, I think, perhaps to the Hillel house. I had the decision to make. Do I put a cap on my head? Do I tuck my tzitzit in? Do I try and hide this, or do I wear a badge on my heart and on my sleeve and go with it? And that's what I did. And that, I remember that clearly. That first day, a number of people stopped and shouted at me various things. I don't know what they shouted exactly. And the more they did, the more I held myself up high. And something, Rav Gidon, it never happened again. In 3 years, it never happened again. And I think the first thing that struck me when we went into this whole isolation situation was to refrain from falling into the negativity and seeing it as something which is holding us back, but to try to find the opportunity there. Now, I should say before I kind of go on to this whole mantra of positivity that I do recognize that people are suffering, right? People are suffering, and perhaps there are people who are watching, or people watching who know people who have lost loved ones. I know from the Facebook feed, there are friends of mine who've lost grandparents or even parents, and it's a tough time. It's a tough time. All that considered, we still have a choice. You always have a choice in life, which is, do you go positive, or do you fall? And I think that seeing whatever situation you're in as an opportunity is the key. You know, when we had this whole situation of like, okay, you're at home with the kids, what are you going to do about it? Well, I must tell you now, Rob, good on, and now, like I say, we're like 2 months into this now, and our house is as chaotic as the next house. I mean, it's a balagan, right? It's a balagan, but certainly I can tell you that when it first kicked off, I saw it as an opportunity to really try to spend time with the children and to embrace it. Now, whatever situation people find themselves in, I think that's the question you've got to ask yourself. What could you do here? What could you do here? Perhaps there are projects which you haven't done for a long time. Perhaps there's I think the Jewish response to any crisis, there are only three answers really. There's either action, or there's introspection, or there's prayer, right? There's nothing else. There's nothing really else. You either do something for yourself, you try to think deeply about, well, why am I in this mess? What can I do to improve myself? Or you pray a little bit. And anything else is going to fall into the category of probably wasted thoughts. But yeah, it's a balagan around here, Rav Gidon. But I don't know. I think seeing it as an opportunity is a paradigm shift. And if you can do that, I think you're in a better place.
Right. It's interesting. I was discussing with someone the other day about now that you're at home, like what I did on, actually, it must have been about a month ago. I ordered from Argos like a whole stack of some kids' games, and we've kind of learned a whole bunch of new games, and I play so much with them. They're like obsessed with it. It's become like something that I never had time to do before. And even though I'm not great at finding those opportunities, I feel like there have been those glimpses of real enjoyment and bonding that's happened, and it's difficult to find silver lining over there. But I think everyone's kind of looking at those points and appreciating them, which kind of gets to the next question, which is something I wanted to ask with you here and really think about it together, and that is, stuck at home with your family. And I know that everyone's in a different situation. A lot of the students out there watching will. Some of them are actually still on campus, and we'll get to that in a second, but a lot of them will be at home. And it seems to be a lot of feedback on my mic. I'm sorry. Let me see if there's anything I can do about it. 1 second. I don't know if that's going to improve it. Okay, but just to hand over to you there, to think about how do we relate and make sure that we're not ruining relationships with our family in this time as well. How do we make sure that, like, even though we're stuck together with them, what are your thoughts on that?
It's a big question. It's a very big question, and I think you're right. I think you're right that managing this, it's not, as the old expression goes, it's not a sprint, it is a marathon, and it's not just about getting through a few hours with people, and it's a whole big game plan. And I think that everyone needs to be in touch with themselves to get a sense of what they need. There are times when I've and of course, whatever restrictions people have on them, but there are times when I've just, said to Anna and the kids, okay, I'm going for a walk. Okay, I'm going for a walk. I'm clearing my head. I'm going to sit on a bench somewhere, look at something green, and I'm going to clear my head, and then kind of come back, a bit more relaxed. And I think that's kind of a sense of, we talk about mindfulness. I don't think anyone's got perhaps the time or space to sit, legs crossed in some, I don't know, like we don't have perhaps the time to be, meditating. Depends what kind of situation you're. It could be that you do have a bit more time to think and to introspect a bit more and to find 60 seconds of peace and quiet. I must say that just occasionally having a bit of breathing deeply, just taking 1, 2, 3 deep breaths. I'll do one now. I mean, I feel like it's like, you just exhale, you breathe in through your nose, hold it for a few seconds, then release. Stops everything. It really can put a full stop or a comma into your day just when you need it. Don't disregard that. I find myself, bringing that out of my pocket a number of times a day just to keep to keep focused. The other thing I think is and it's true in all situations of Gidon, which is, and I think I'm sure you'll resonate with this, is that there's always 2 ways to go, and that's again going outwards or going inwards. Now, all this talk of lockdown, all this talk of isolation, there's a pressure on us being forced into our homes, but also to get into ourselves. And that's the reality of it. But when you're with other people, there's that need to step out of yourself to ask someone else occasionally, how are you? How are you? And I think that responding to that pressure of going inwards, to occasionally just go outwards and genuinely stop and say to the person next to you, be it your brother, your sister, your mum, your dad, or your child, or your wife or girlfriend, whatever it might be, how are you? I did it with my kids, with my kids this evening. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's pitched a tent in their garden or in their house to amuse the kids. We've done that. That was a self-interest activity. I would take the kids out occasionally and we'd sit down, and I'd say to them, how are you doing? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Give them each a few seconds, few minutes, whatever they want to talk and get things off their chest. But everyone's different, and for one person, sitting down and drawing and doing some art releases tension. For someone else, making food, doing something creative with their hands is an answer. For someone else, going for I picked up running again. Right, I used to have some great running partners in Leeds. Used to run with some of the students and keep myself in shape and stop myself getting too big around the waist. But I've been out running again, and I'm telling you, when I come back, of course I feel better as well. It's a fight, and I think fighting the fight is everyone knows their own. I think everyone knows their own. I think we all know our own game plan. I think if everyone would be able to ask themselves, what 1 or 2 things do you know calm you down? Okay, so just make sure you do it a few times a day. I probably don't have all the answers, but that's not that's the kind of thing that we do, or that I try and do.
That's you don't need to know all the answers, just some of them. Some of them are good. It actually, first of all, for those students out there who know Rabbi Adam from Leeds, we'll give them a massive shout out. For any of the running partners out there who are watching now, we'll give them a shout out. We have a message here from a big shout out to Ben Avital, who said hi. Hi Ben, thanks for watching. I know we don't have. I'm conscious because we don't have pages. But I want to yeah, go for it.
Just seeing a shout out from Ben, it just reminds me, Ben and I shared a very, very powerful moment. I'm sure he won't mind me recalling this. We were on a trip in Israel. He was, I think he was a Madrich on the trip. We were on a trip in Israel, and we were going through the water tunnels. There are many people who've done the water tunnels. Now, one of the things that really gets me is being is going in tunnels. Okay, I've never liked it, and I get very, very scared. And Ben waited with me, and we went through the tunnel together. And it's fascinating because it was now speaking about being isolated and being a bit scared and being stuck and whatnot and being anxious and anxiety. And it was all over me. I was really scared. And Ben and I stayed together. We went together. And you know how we got through it? We just talked from the heart, one to each other. We opened up about deep things. Before we knew it, we saw the daylight. So sometimes being able to reach your heart and to communicate deeply. But so shout out to Ben if he's still there. He remembers that. I still do. Good times.
I love that. We've just got a message. Elliot McKay just said he was there as well.
Yes.
And we got a shout out from Oscar Kozlova, who's wants to know if five-a-side counts as well as running.
So
it's probably the same.
Well, Oscar was the star goalkeeper in our five-a-side team in the Leeds JSOC League. He was by far and away the best player on the team, and I'm sure I let many balls through in the wrong time. But yes, five-a-side definitely counts as long as it's legally okay. Oscar, yes, of course.
I don't think it is at the moment, but anyway. No, I'm conscious that we don't have ages, and I want to slip in one last question, which is very relevant. So many, Ravadam, whilst you were in Leeds, you probably you developed such a good understanding of where students are at and the challenges they face. I think something a lot of students are feeling at the moment is a tremendous degree of anxiety because they're not sure how the exams are going to work and, what especially those who are in their final year, what the world of getting a job is going to look like next year. Like, it's very nerve-wracking. Like, even people with jobs don't know what's going to be in a few months' time. And it's almost like the massive realm, black hole of unknownness. What do you think are some coping strategies, some ideas that, you think might help? And again, we're all human, like we don't know, but what are your musings? What are your thoughts?
Well, let's get it all out there and say that take coronavirus aside, put it aside. The decade of the 20s, I've always thought this, having gone through it, okay, celebrated my 40th birthday just now. So I've got a bit of, not only having gone through the 20s, but now a bit of perspective as well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The decade of the 20s, I think, is the most challenging. Is certainly in my experience is the most challenging part of my life, and I think perhaps many people would say say so as well, because there's so much to work out in quite a short amount of time. You've got to work out what job you want to do. You've got to work out perhaps where you're going to live. You've got to work out who you want to marry or live with. You've got to work out perhaps what kind of life you want to live. So much has to be worked out in a small period of time, and that sits on your shoulders anyway. Whether coronavirus is here or not, it sits on your shoulders. And all around you, there are people who are on varying degrees on that track of got it sorted out to different degrees. One person is flying down the track and is knowing what they're doing, and one person isn't quite working it out. And of course, when you're in that situation where either you can't make progress or you don't know what the future's held, then of course it ends up being trial and error to a certain degree. And it can take a person 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, until you actually find something that works. You discover, okay, I didn't like that, but I do like that. I'm not good at that, but I am good at this. And slowly your strengths start to become true. So I want to say, in any way, this is a tough time for students, either at university or just graduating, trying to work things out. Now you add coronavirus on top of that, and then you've got all that with this kind of big shadow which has come down, descended on us, and made the whole thing that much more difficult. But this is, and I'm going to keep this really to one sentence, because if I go waffling on, then no one will remember anything anyway. But really, one piece of advice that I think can be helpful is this: don't waste your time worrying or thinking about anything that you have no control over. It's something which is very hard to do because well, what am I going to do for a job, and what am I going to do for my gap year? What am I going to do in my year in industry? Okay, I'm not saying the problem isn't there, but you worrying about it for the next 6 months isn't going to change anything about what could be. Only focus your limited and precious time and energy and thought space and mental space into that which you can do something about. And as we said before, there's really only 3 responses, three good responses. That's action. Okay, do something about it if you can. Introspection. Okay, take the message inward and try to work on yourself. Or prayer. And just one little thought on this, just to wrap this thought up, which is this. And and I think it was something that I was thinking about ahead of this conversation with you, Rav Gideon, and it kind of just popped into my head. And sometimes when ideas pop into your head, it's perhaps a message that they're the ones to share. Many students, many people will be familiar with the story of King David and King Saul. Okay, the first king of Israel was King Saul, King Melech Shaul, and he lost his throne to David. And at a certain point, David has been made king, but it's not been made public really, and Shaul is chasing him. If people who've been to Ein Gedi on tours of Israel, their tour guide might have told them this story. At a certain point, Saul decides he wants to kill David. He wants to get rid of this contender for the kingship, and he chases him. And a game of cat and mouse emerges. Okay, and it's a fascinating situation. And what happens is that David eventually chases Saul, and he finds Saul has gone to relieve himself in the bathroom, not in a physical bathroom, but he's gone, as the Talmud says, he goes over into a field, into another field, into a cave, and into a cave inside a cave. And in there, he's going to the bathroom. All right, he's doing what he needs to do. So David thinks to himself, perfect time to come and to kill him, basically. When he gets there, he sees that the way that Shaul is relieving himself is in the most humble and discreet way possible. He's covered himself in his robes so that no one could possibly see. There's no one there anyway. But he senses the man's humility, and he suddenly stops in his track, and he says, there's absolutely no way I can do this man any harm at all. It's almost like a force field is around him, not because of what job he did, or because of how much money he had, or how much developed he was in his career, because of who he was. Saul was an incredibly humble man. Even when he was in the middle of a cave, inside a cave, in a field, he held himself in such a humble and modest manner that David said, I'm leaving this man alone. And I think that's a message I'd like to give, if I can, to students who are perhaps a bit anxious. And it's to paraphrase the words of Golda Meir, Yom Ha'atzmaut, who said like this: it's more important the person you are than the thing that you do. And at this time, when perhaps careers are on hold, and those questions of what's going to be with me are on hold, okay, there's not much you can do about it. It'll come right, B'ezrat Hashem. In the meantime, take the question inwards and work on the inner question. And the same way that it was for Saul, it should be for all of us, that the plague shouldn't touch us, should leave us alone and say, how can I touch a person like this? So I want to wish everybody who's listening a refuah shalema to those who need it, and just good peace of mind for everyone, and to stay positive and doing all the things that we need to do, that we can do for ourselves, that keep ourselves in a good frame of mind.
Beautiful. I want to say amen to that, because that's I guess what we all really need at the moment, and to say a massive, humongous thank you for your time and for your commitment over here. And we're so grateful. I'm so pleased that we got to hear from you and to hear that wisdom at the end. That was beautiful. That really was. And you can see at the side, there's another shout out from Josh Carr, who says, hi, big love. And Chag Sameach. It's been great to speak. Rav Adam, we've got to catch up. You can stay on the line and we can speak afterwards, but it's late in Israel now. It's late. It's like 10. And we've got one last exciting announcement for anyone who hasn't yet entered our competition. Anyone who wants to give a guess as to what baby Boris is called, post your guess as to what the name will be of the baby in the comment section. And if you get it right, you can get 20 quid. It's easy as that. But we have one last thing. I want to say before that, a massive thank you to Rabbi Adam, and to say thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again on the show and come up with something, hopefully happier times and clearer things. So Rabbi Adam, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real honor.
Absolute pleasure. A big shout out to you, to your family as well. A shout out to Josh Carr, who said hi to me as well. He's a great guy. And to everyone, all the team in Aish UK, keep your heads up and keep doing an amazing job. And we miss you as well. And a big chazak to all of you. Thank you for inviting me on the show. I'd love to come back. Take care.
Thank you for coming. Now, before we close tonight's show, I've got one last thing, a very exciting announcement for those who have been following us on Facebook, on Aish on Campus on Facebook page. You'll have seen our latest initiative, which is so very, very impressive. We're so excited about it. If you don't follow us yet, follow us on Aish on Campus and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find, if you're watching on YouTube now, you can click on the link below to subscribe. But finally, before we say a massive good night, we'd like to introduce you to the very newest project of Aish on Campus, AOC Flicks. Check this out. Yes, just like you are sitting at home, scrolling through all the Netflix series, wondering, gosh, I've literally almost finished everything on Netflix. There is another option. There is something that we are offering, which is fantastic, which is going to fill up your time outside of Netflix. AOC Flicks is our latest platform to offer all the opportunities that we have. Check out some of the options that we have on our website. We have a meditation and prayer option for those interested in dedicating a little bit of time every day to meditation and Jewish prayer. That's an option for those interested. We have a fantastic new course going live on the concept of kosher and a fantastic Shabbat-themed course on the topic of Thank God It's Friday Night. You can check out all the fantastic new series that we're offering with all their individual episodes on the Aish UK website. Check it out, aish.org.uk, and sign up for one of those courses. Get a group of friends together, and you can take part in our new AOC Flicks initiative. If you haven't entered our competition, we're still taking entries until the very last minute here of what you think Baby Boris is going to be called. Until next time, tune in live next week for another incredible Aish online live show Wednesday evening, this time next week. We've really enjoyed this evening. I hope you join me in thanking Rabbi Adam for joining us as well. Check out everything that we've got on AOC Flicks. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you again live next week. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We wish you all a fantastic evening. Have a great, great night from the Aish team. It's good night from us. Thank you.